Thank you guys so much for tuning in. My name is Mo, and today I want to talk a little bit about WoW versus the Old Republic, the MMO, in all aspects, in every area. We're going to go down and category by category, kind of compare these two games, because I think WoW at this point is highly overrated, which is going to piss some people off. But bear in mind, before we even get into it at all, I play WoW pretty much every day. I play both of these games. I play WoW and the Old Republic, each for different reasons. But anyways, back to what I was saying. I think WoW is a little bit overrated, and I think Tor, or the Old Republic, is super underrated. So I want to talk about that a little bit here, so let's just get right into it. Alrighty, so the first category that we're going to do is going to be pricing, because that's probably the first thing that you look into when you consider a new game is how much it costs, right? So the WoW business model is really basic. It's pretty much been the same since the game came out. You pay your $15 a month, and once every couple of years you also have to pay $50 or $60 for an expansion. So that's kind of the way it is with WoW. It's never really changed. I don't really see that changing anytime soon either, to be honest. So that's about as basic as it gets, right? The Old Republic, however, is a little bit more complicated just because this tried to start out with the same business model as WoW, but I don't think it had enough players to support that model. So they changed it to a freemium model, and just based off that, just the word freemium is enough to turn a lot of people off, because a lot of freemium games are just total fucking cash grabs, right? And they'll take all your money, and the next day they'll ask you for some more money. But the Old Republic is not a game like that. I know it is a freemium game, but you shouldn't group it up with other freemium games like the stupid ass cell phone games or anything like that. It's not the same model as that. So it does give you the option when you play the Old Republic to subscribe for $15 a month, and that's what I would recommend because it unlocks everything for you right out the gate. You get all these experience boosts and all that good stuff, and all of the expansion packs, which include new levels and new dungeons and new raids, all the same stuff that WoW expansion packs include, are totally included in your subscription fee. So I would recommend paying $15 a month because you get what you pay for. And if you pay that $15, they're not going to ask you for any more money beyond that. Although you can spend money beyond that, but it's entirely for cosmetic shit. So that's kind of the difference between the two pricing plans. And to be honest, the Old Republic is better, period. Because it gives you a choice, you know what I mean? If you don't have any money, you're totally broke, you can absolutely still play the game that way. You can level your character and do your story and all that good stuff. It's just going to take a little bit longer because you're not going to have those experience boosts. And you'll have like a smaller inventory, like really tiny, sort of irrelevant disadvantages. You know, it definitely helps to pay for the game, but if you straight up can't afford it, you're definitely still going to be able to find enjoyment in this game, you know? And another thing is, there's kind of a middle-of-the-road option, too. So they have something called the cartel market in the Old Republic, where you can pay for specific parts of the game. So, for example, really recently, I did a series in the Old Republic on PvP. And to non-subscribers, which is what I am currently, I don't pay $15 a month right now, but to non-subscribers, you only get a certain number of battlegrounds per week before they ask you for some money. So at first I was like, man, that's kind of shady, right? But I actually ended up doing it, and what I did was I paid, I think, 250 coins for a week of battlegrounds. So if all you want to do in this game is play battlegrounds, you do have to pay, but you can pay as little as $2 a month. So you can pay $0 a month and kind of struggle a little bit. You can pay $15 a month and unlock every single fucking thing the game has to offer, including expansions. Or you can kind of go the middle of the road and you can buy experience boosts individually. You can buy these little packages. So if you don't want to spend the full $15, you can still spend $5, $10, and still get the benefits that you want if you don't want the complete package. So I think that's definitely a plus on the Old Republic side. I think it gets a bad rap because it's a freemium model, but when you really look into it in detail, I think the Old Republic model is definitely a lot better when it comes to pricing. Okay, and now that we've got that out of the way, the next thing I want to talk about are the single-player aspects of these games. Because, if we're being totally honest, this entire video was inspired by a Reddit post that basically said, hey, I'm new to WoW, is WoW worth picking up just as a single-player RPG? And most of the responses, even though my response, if you just asked me randomly that question on the street, I would have said no. But most of the responses said yes, you can play WoW as a single-player RPG. And it's hard to argue that. I mean, there are quests. You can go out and pick up your quest, read your quest, turn the quest in, and repeat. And that's definitely something I've done. I've got 4 capped characters in WoW, so I know all about questing. I've got about 4 characters stuck at level 50. So I've done a whole bunch of questing. I know all about it. And that shit is boring, son. Straight up. I know a lot of people think it's fun. And to be honest, it is fun in the early levels. That's why I have a lot of characters stuck at level 50. Because it's fun to quest up until about level 50. When it takes a really long time, especially even in heirloom gear. So if you're a brand new player, questing is going to take a fucking long ass time. And the Old Republic just does it way better, man. It's done by BioWare. There's like 8 or 9 different campaigns for each class. It's all got cutscenes. You get a companion that you can set to whatever role you want. So if you want someone to tank for you, your companion will tank, or your companion will heal you, or do DPS with you, or whatever, man. But the fact that the Old Republic is just so much of a newer game, and it's designed by BioWare, means that as far as single-player campaign goes, blows WoW out of the water. If all you really care about is a single-player RPG, please play the Old Republic. I promise you'll thank me later, because the single-player experience in the Old Republic is fucking amazing. I would pay full retail price for that game if it was re-released today as a single-player game. That's how good the single-player aspect of the Old Republic is. The next thing I want to talk about is going to be player base, because this is another hugely important thing. A lot of people will say because WoW has more active subscribers, that it's better, just based on that. And for the record, I don't think these numbers are public anymore for either game, so it's hard to say for certain which game has more players at this point. But I don't think the number of players matters very much at all. WoW very well could have a lot more players than the Old Republic, but everyone in WoW is spread so thin over all these billions of fucking servers. So even if it has double the player base, each capital city in WoW is still going to feel super dead. And I know in my personal experience, I started my characters years ago, man, like on a medium pop server. And over time, it just started to decline, and now it's turned into a low pop server. And my characters are basically stranded in this barren-ass wasteland, because I'm not paying hundreds of dollars to transfer my characters. So I think that's kind of a problem that a lot of people are having with WoW right now. So even though WoW might have more players, the capital cities, the world of the Old Republic in general, feels a lot more alive. And I think that's what's more important, way more important than just number of players, for sure. Okay, so this is starting to run a little bit long. The next category I want to talk about is dungeons and raids. And this is going to be a short category, because I'm going to keep it real with you guys. I don't raid very much. Just kidding, I don't raid at all. I actually did my first raid ever in my entire life the other day. And there's actually a video on it if you want to watch that. It's called My First Raid Ever. But I am not a raider. What I can say, though, just based on what I hear about WoD raids and what I hear about Legion raids, is that WoW probably does raids a little bit better. So if you're a raider, if you're a hardcore raider, I would probably stick to WoW, or I would look into some Old Republic raids, check some other sources out, because I don't have any first-hand experience with raiding in either of these games, so I can't really say. As far as dungeons go, the dungeons in the Old Republic are called operations, and what can I say about these? pretty much the same concept. You know, you run through with your 5-man team, killing stuff, except in the Old Republic, every once in a while you stop and have a cutscene and there's dialogue, and you kind of have to choose as a group. Okay, do we want to make the dark side decision or the light side decision? And there's a little bit more interactivity when it comes to dungeons in the Old Republic, but for the most part, dungeons in the 2 are going to be pretty much the same. Alright, and the very, very last category is going to be PvP. And PvP is actually something that I do a lot. I say I play WoW every day. That's because I'm a full-time PvPer. I don't think raiders can play WoW every day. I don't think you can raid every day. But I do jump on WoW pretty much every day, do some battlegrounds, do some arenas, maybe a little bit of Ashran. So I have spent a lot of time playing PvP in WoW. I have just recently picked up PvP in the Old Republic. That's actually what caused me to pick this game up again, is the PvP. I wanted to check it out, do a little video series, and see how the PvP stacks up compared to WoW. And what I can tell you is the PvP scene is just a lot more fleshed out in WoW. For both of these games, PvP was an afterthought, but WoW just does it a little bit better. In the Old Republic, battlegrounds and arenas aren't separated, so if you do a battleground, or if you queue for a battleground, which is called a war zone in the Old Republic, if you queue for a war zone, you could get one that's like a game, like a capture the flag game, or something like that, like a regular battleground, or you could get put into an arena. So you can tell the Old Republic is just less centered around PvP, and it's just kind of like a side little fun thing. As opposed to in WoW, you can pretty much be a full-time PvPer. I don't think you can be a full-time PvPer in the Old Republic, just because it's not as fleshed out. So there is PvP in both, but if you're solely into PvP, that's the only thing that you do, I would probably stick to WoW for that. Alright, and just some final thoughts here to wrap up the video. The graphics obviously are going to be better on the Old Republic just because it's a newer game. So if you're really into cool looking cities and planets and all that shit, the Old Republic is really cool for that. It's got really good graphics. And the WoW graphics have been updated a lot, so it's not like they look bad by any means, but the Old Republic is clearly going to beat a game that came out in 2006. But besides graphics, another really, really hugely important thing is the community. And I'll put it plainly, man, the WoW community is full of assholes. It seems like, myself included. You know, I'm not trying to take the high road on anybody, but if you make a mistake in WoW, people will call you out by name in group chat and call you a fucking moron, tell you to quit the game, uninstall, all this dramatic shit, which is really tiring, man. Especially, I'm sure as a new player, that adds a lot of unnecessary pressure too. But the Old Republic community is like angels compared to the WoW players almost. They're just so nice and friendly, and they just don't take it as serious, you know? Perfect example of this. The other day I was playing a game of Hutball, which is basically like soccer. You know, you take the ball, you bring it to the other team's side to score a point. But what I didn't know I had the ball, so I ran the other direction. I brought the ball to our side, pretty much scored for the other team. And if I did some shit like that in WoW, people would fucking PM me to uninstall and all this bullshit. But in the Old Republic, I'll see if I can find the video of it. People were just laughing. Everyone was like, oh, that was a good laugh. No one really gives a shit, you know? So if you're in for some nice, light-hearted fun, or if you're just sick of the assholes that play WoW, check out the Old Republic, man. I'm going to go ahead and end the video on that note. I want to reiterate, I didn't make this video to say one game is objectively better than the other game. This is all just a matter of opinion, of course. But just know that if you're getting sick of WoW, you're getting sick of the WoW community, or you feel like WoW is not meeting your needs in one way or another, I just wanted to present this one other option, because I think, as I said in the beginning, the Old Republic is highly underrated, and for $15 a month, you get a fucking shitload of content, so I would definitely consider checking that out. Thank you guys for watching. It's kind of a longer video, so thank you guys for hanging in there if you stuck through to the end. Don't forget to like, comment, comment, and subscribe, and all that good stuff. Check out the other videos, and I will see you guys in the next one.